Bedman is a character from the Guilty Gear series of fighting games created by Daisuke Ishiwatari and Arc System Works. Guilty Gear prides itself on its fast-paced combat, beautiful animation, innovative mechanics to make everything easy to learn while also super complex and allow for tons of fluidity that other fighting games struggle with, and its wide variety of characters. And when I say variety, I mean it. While other fighting games go, here is Jeremy from Toronto, Canada, who wears ripped jeans and a coat, and his super is he punches you again, and then hits you with a really big punch. Guilty Gear goes, here is Chip Zaniff, a former drug addict turned sober ninja after learning from an anime author about the lost arts of Japan, which was blown up by a space robot warlord 100 years ago. After running for the president of the United States and campaigning by beating the shit out of people, and if they lose they gotta vote for him, he lost, and then colonized a small country in Africa they named after himself. His gameplay is him being a very fast but fragile character who dies if he sneezes on him, but will zoom around the map doing long combo strings while shouting random Japanese phrases that he thinks sound cool because he is canonically the world's biggest weeb. That's just one character. Now, which of these sounds more fun? Guilty Gear has captivated me ever since I first played Strive, so much that I went back and played all the older titles and experienced even more of the peak that Guilty Gear has. And I cannot think of another series that has made me love each and every character so much. And part of it is their commitment to the plot. Now, I know that plot is a scary word for fighting game players, but in Guilty Gear, I can't get enough of it, except when I do. I bought Overture because it was $10 and I thought it would be cool on my shelf. I'm not actually gonna play it, I don't even have a 360. I really need to emphasize how much love there is for the characters. Almost every playable character in Guilty Gear I've seen be someone's profile picture, or be someone's favorite character in fighting games, or favorite character in all of fiction. That last one would be me with Faust, but sadly he'll have to wait his turn. The character I want to talk about today is my second favorite Guilty Gear character, and the one who I think perfectly encapsulates how Guilty Gear is so much more creative than anything else out there. Bedman. Bedman was introduced in Guilty Gear Xrd, the first fighting game in the series to use 3D models. These models were really helpful for giving the game a really distinct art style that still looks great to this day despite being Unreal Engine 3. They used tons of techniques and stuff like breaking the models, using different cell shading for every character, and having the character intro cinematics move at 24 frames per second to really make it look 2D and hand-drawn despite being 3D. In the old games, the characters had intros where it was in-game and you could see stuff like their health bars and their meters and stuff, and that's still cool to this day because there's nothing really else like it. But now they were able to give characters intros that look like the opening moments of an anime episode. Because of this, they were able to explain the character dynamics a bit about who you're playing as before you get to play them. Because Bedman, he's weird for Guilty Gear standards. Like, I know I went on a big thing about how complex the characters are, but like, realistically, you can relatively explain their main gameplay thing pretty easily in a short amount of time. Like, okay, this guy fights with a pool stick, like billiards pool. This guy fights with his business cards. This is a big robot mech guy being controlled by a girl inside. It's like, okay, I can see how they would fight. This guy is in bed. What? How do you fight by being in bed? And this intro tells you so much in so little time. Bed rolls up to the camera. What the fuck? Wheels deploy. Wheels grow spikes. The bed rises up. Zoomed in shot of Bedman's face, showing that he's bolted onto the bed. Text on the bolt saying Deja Vu, which is the name of Bedman's main gameplay mechanic, and provides more to the reality bender vibes that the character gives off. In most media, I feel like the zoom in is the shot where they would show the character's eyes opening, showing you they are prepared for the fight and ready for whatever lies ahead. But here, instead, the camera pans up to the bed's face. Its mechanical eyes glowing red, the text dreamlike reality branded on its forehead. Then it zooms down, showing its spiky wheels spinning, not a single word spoken, no catchy one-liner, because they've already said it all. Whatever this thing is, it's imposing and ready to kick your ass. All of that in 11 seconds. I fucking love Guilty Gear. My favorite fighting game character tropes are set play zoners, characters with teleports, characters that are ridiculously tall, and characters that are in pain for the entire match. Bedman fits 3 of these right now. The man might not be tall, but the bed sure is. Bedman's main gimmick is called Deja Vu. Basically, you throw out a special move. This special move leaves a symbol floating where you did it. Deja Vu lets you send out a hologram of that special from the spot you last did it, completely separate from Bedman. This lets you do some major set play and combos. Throw out a move, make them forget about it, call it back when they least expect it. Bedman wants you to feel like a 400 IQ genius, and they absolutely excelled at doing that. Tearless be damned. Bedman's movement is a bit clunky. He's the only playable non-humanoid character in the entire series as of now. The bed may have arms and legs, but you're still playing as a piece of furniture. He's kinda slow, not too uncommon for bigger characters like him. He's got the fastest walk in the game, but his dash leaves him more vulnerable than other characters. He's got the only 8-way air dash in the game, but his normal airspeed is on the slower side. He feels really weird and strange. Everything feels off about him, but in a good way. His dash can't be cancelled like most other characters' dashes, but in return, if the opponent hits Bedman during the frames where he gets glitchy, he does a nothing personnel kid teleport behind the opponent and gives him a free punish. most of the time. He can throw the bed's head out as a boomerang, hitting on the way to the opponent and on the way back too, and if he does the version that's slower, the head will instantly teleport you to the opponent if it connects. Bedman may not have the most specials, only 4 plus their deja vu variants, but the way you can use those specials is super fluid and awesome. There's so many options you can do, and this along with Xrd system mechanics like yellow Roman cancels, irregular Roman cancels, frame 1 grabs, burst supers, make this character really cool even among Xrd's other fantastic characters. Bedman's supers are kinda lame. This one's great. The bed's head opens up. It's got fucking teeth. And an alarm clock. Gets hit by it, beautiful. Where it falters is in the stats. It's plus on block. You can grab it out of the startup. This next one's just kinda dumb. Jack, you spawn an evil sheep that floats around the opponent. If it connects with the opponent, they become instantly stunned unless they don't. If the opponent stays grounded, the sheep can't hit them, but if they jump, get launched, or thrown into it, that's fair game. It's not really bad on paper, but in execution, it's not really that good since the sheep disappears if Bedman takes damage, and the opponent can just hit the sheep itself 3 times to make it go away, and Bedman gets teleported to a specific area after it hits, which doesn't let him get much off of it as he could. He probably won't get an insta-kill oftentimes, which yeah, that's probably fair, but come on. Speaking of insta-kills, Bedman's insta-kill is the Theater of Pain. Bedman traps the opponent inside of a nightmare, which is different for each character. Chip's nightmare is that he lost the election by 1 vote. So you want a match with Bedman, what happens next? He starts talking.
We talk about survival of the fittest a lot, but all that really means is the skilled live and the unskilled die. So clearly in that second group, maybe pick your fights a bit more carefully. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's never going to matter how much you want it when you're up against someone who can kill you with a sneeze.
Bedman, win, straight.
Bedman during the match does not say shit. He is out cold. In fact, it's canon if he wakes up he dies because his brain will explode. But once the match is over, he lets it all out as the camera is in his dream world. I know this might piss off a nerd, but the dub for Bedman, at least in particular in Xrd, is objectively the definitive voice of the character for me.
Who are you?
Hello, please call me Bedman or something similar.
That's a joke, right? I'm guessing this is your weird dream world? You mentioned my reputation. That suggests you're not working alone. The Conclave?
You're awfully funny. No wonder my client is so interested in you. No matter. Unfortunately, I'm afraid you're wrong. You couldn't possibly guess. I'm feeling generous, so it's not Ramlethal. In fact, I'm feeling very generous. It's not that man either. Did I just raise some more questions? 2, 4 more, exponentially more? Oh, I'm sorry. To be frank, I'm a bit nervous. After all, even if I go all out, I may not be able to break you. That word break, being unable to break you being unbreakable, that strikes me as arrogant. All things have a beginning and an end, but unbreakable suggests that an object has flouted those laws, discarded its natural limitations. Culture, civilization, everything humankind has created, even the idea of God, to destroy the laws, destroy the things the laws allow. Doesn't that seem unfair, like how thinking too hard about something makes it more difficult? Instead of giving hope, you take it away. We might as well discard morals entirely. Anyway, I detest long conversations.
At least we agree on that.
Yuri Lowenthal is an incredible voice actor and does Bedman just as hard, able to do his super long, fast-talking line reads and sound like just the pure embodiment of Reddit. He's a neurodivergent Reddit atheist zoomer child with a downvote on his head, and I absolutely love it. But there is a huge problem. If you load up a copy of the latest version of Xrd, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, you will not hear Yuri Lowenthal's Bedman by default, nor is it anywhere in the options menu. This is because the later versions of the game beyond the first release, Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, removed the English voice acting because they didn't want to pay the VAs for a market that the game didn't sell well in, because they kept naming the fucking games Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R. Hey man, what are you playing? Oh, just Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2, which is the 3rd release of the game. You know why Strive is doing so well? Cause it has a normal name. It's just 3 words, it's good, it's not a physics equation. No disrespect to the Japanese voice actor, but, and y'all are gonna fuck me up for this one. If 2 voice actors do an equally good job, I would like to hear the one that is in my language. Not dogging on the sub, it's good, but the dubs of these games are really good and I'm tired of people writing them off. You will kill me before I listen to Japanese Jacko. You can mod in the old English voices, but it reverts back to the Japanese voices a lot if you're using the character announcer packs, and it's generally just a shame. Still good enough to hear Bedman as the announcer, though.
The duel is such a primitive way to settle an argument, yet still it fascinates. Even if a given fight has little to no impact on history, it still seems like a more interesting attempt to alter one's fate than simply standing around waiting for life to happen. The money you spend on shampoo could likely pay another person's rent.
For most characters, though, this isn't the biggest deal in the world, because we got to hear most of them return in Strive, where every character still currently has an English dub, along with a Korean one too. Bedman, however, was not so lucky, because he fucking died. Yeah, so, getting into the plot, don't worry, I'm not gonna do a full breakdown of Xrd's plot, because, like, whew, that would take forever, but essentially, Bedman wants to create a world that is without suffering, a perfect world for all humans to live in, but he's tricked by the villains into working for them by promising that they'll help him out. So Bedman kills, like, a lot of people. Like, a lot of people, because he can just bring them back anyway when he does his thing. He remembers the names of every single person he's killed. But the villains are actually trying to destroy humanity, blah blah blah. I really want to highlight this one scene in the story mode where, Bedman just fucking kills Ramlethal's dog and replaces it with a new one to show her how every life has meaning. This all culminates in a really good scene where Venom and Robokai blow up Bedman, and it's really good. At the end, Bedman wakes up and talks to this chick, and she's not playable, I don't care, but she spills the beans to Bedman that they were tricking him the whole time, and he starts crying and gets mad and almost kills her, but then Bedman has been awake for too long and he turns to stone and crumbles. I don't know why he turns to stone specifically, he just does that, I guess, but before dying, he sends out one last bit of power, and then we see a foot over Bedman's grave, and that's Delilah. I think a lot of people think that Delilah was first named in Strive, but she's actually named explicitly in Xrd in some places. So Bedman's a good person, but he's just really stupid despite having a 400 IQ, and him treating people as pawns is what leads to his demise, and that's all she wrote for Bedman and Xrd, pretty much. There's more, but go fucking play Xrd for yourself, it's a good-ass game. Then Launch of Strive comes out, Bedman's nowhere to be seen, not even in the story mode, I think. It's 4 hours long, I didn't watch all of it, maybe they say his name once, I don't think so, but maybe. But then the free DLC story mode expansion thing comes out, and it's all about Delilah. Because Strive takes place 3 weeks after Xrd in the timeline, Delilah hasn't had time to adjust to being awake, so she's just following people. Delilah wants to get revenge on the people who killed her brother, but she doesn't know Venom exists yet, and no one tell her for his safety, so she's trying to kill Happy Chaos, who is like Strive's main villain, who is currently inside the White House, which is on a big airship because it's the year 2192, so I guess we can just do that now. She runs into Biken, whose character arc for the entire series has been getting revenge on people, and then fast forward, manless Bedman shows up and they have a fight, and if it looks kinda jank, it's because they only have 4 people animating this entire story mode. They are dying in those trenches. Please, someone give them like an orange to eat or something. Fast forward some more. Killing people is wrong. That's bullshit. Babies come out of your eyes, I think. What? My honest reaction. I'm gonna kill a lot of people by accident trying to kill the guy I do want to kill. I should kill myself. No, you should not. Thank you for saying that. I still have the thoughts, but, like, still thanks. Let's go save the day. Square one? Damn, that bisexual guy was right. Killing people is wrong. Delilah, we shouldn't kill people. Killing people is wrong. Let's do something else. Yippee. Bedman bed is sad and destroyed, and maybe Faust is dead. We don't know. There's a real chance that both of my favorite characters might just be dead forever after this game. Maybe not Faust, but Bedman, like, totally. So how's Bedman playable if he already got destroyed? Fighting game logic, baby. You don't gotta hear the shit. We only see Red Eye Faust for like 10 seconds in all of story mode, and that's the depiction of him that's in the game. Okay, so let's get something straight. This is Bedman in the bed. Bedman's bed is just bed. Bedman, the man, is in Bedman's bed. Bedman is no longer in the bed, but he's in the bed. There's no man in the bed, but Bedman is in the bed. Bedman became the bed. The Bedman who was in Bedman's bed is now Bedman's bed, which is now Bedman because he is inside the bed. Okay, got all that? This will be on the test, and the test is blocking this overhead. Alright, I hope the brain rot has thoroughly set in, because as I am writing this, Bedman has been announced for Strive, but he is not out, so I gotta wait 3 weeks. Subscribe. Now. I am going to be a man in bed, and by the time I am out of that bed and awake a new man, you better have subscribed. I don't like telling you this, but it fucking works, and I want my well-deserved $3 I get per video. Hello, it is not yet bedban time in Strive, but I am here to dispel a tasteless, disgusting rumor about Bedman. Now, as you know, many things in Guilty Gear are named after music, from characters to move names to lore-important objects. Many things get their names from Daisuke's Westaboo Trash Mine. Zappa, that's Frank Zappa. ABBA, that's ABBA. Axl Low, that's Axl Row. Real JoJo treatment. And people have tried to claim that Bedman is a reference to a musical group too. People have claimed and spread the misinformation online that Bedman is a Weezer reference. This is very fucked up because Weezer fucking sucks. I have listened to one Weezer song and it was the most horrid time I've had listening to music in my life, probably. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I was 3 minutes into the song and went, man, this has been going on for a while. I wonder when it gets good. This was a mistake on my end thinking it would get good. I checked and realized that the song was 8 minutes long. I am bewildered and frantically skipped through the song, only to realize it never gets better. And the Guilty Gear community not only wants to slander this character, but Daisuke himself by spreading the rumor that he liked Weezer enough to make a whole character inspired by them. Daisuke has never publicly commented on Weezer from what I can find, but I think he would agree with me, because I am cool and my opinions are cool, and Daisuke is also cool. The main place that this rumor started that I can find is a tweet from the account Guilty Gear Facts on twitter.com, where they erroneously claimed that Bedman was inspired by the Weezer song Only in Dreams and wanted to make a character that was only in dreams. This is just false. By looking at the quote retweets, we can see that they themselves said this was satire, but yet the slander has spread forth. And that is what's truly terrifying about today's society. If you look up on the wiki and go to Bedman's page and then go down to trivia, it states that Bedman was far more likely to be named after 70s metal band Bedman, but more likely, he was probably reading an 80s bondage magazine purely for the vibes and then had an idea. Thank you for your time. Oh my god, this theme.
Endless, finite.
Copy that.
Okay, I'm not a musician, I don't know what a music theory is, so I can't explain stuff in those terms, but this theme is really good. All the character themes in Strive have lyrics and generally explain arcs about the character that they are for, while also being certified bangers, and Bedman's theme is called The Circle, and ooh!
God, do you see the radiant light? Do you hear the beautiful chant? Do you feel a tender warmth? Nothing here but gold. You can see the radiant light. You can feel the beautiful chant. You can feel the tender warmth.
I can't play the full theme, but my interpretation of the lyrics after listening to the song on loop for an hour is that Bedman rejected the afterlife as insinuated in the lines.
Pitch black, pure white, all the same.
He doesn't care if it's nothingness or heaven because he still has a job to do even if death has very thoroughly claimed him. Despite spending all of his life trying to create a perfect world, and death with the opportunity to go to heaven, he ironically rejected it in order to protect Delilah, with the lines radiant light, beautiful chance, and tender warmth fitting in with common depictions of heaven. Instead, he's currently living in a cold, busted up, broken bed. Okay, time for gameplay. Alright, some of the basics that were translated from Xrd. We don't have Deja Vu anymore, it's been revamped into Error 6E, which occurs after Bedman uses a special move. Bedman will start getting all electrified, and once this happens, Bedman will have a follow-up waiting in queue. The follow-up is dependent on whatever special you did last. Spike Shot, you got lightning. Beyblade, you got explosions that covered a ton of the screen. Big explosion move, your head pops off and explodes. You can use your 20 cents to have the follow-up come out immediately, or your dollar to reset its timer. If you take damage or block an attack, the follow-up stops. Honestly, they're really fun. If we go back to my list of fighting game character tropes I like, we can see that new Bedman fits a slightly different 3 of them. They feel pretty balanced in the very early metagame they have. They're able to really effectively zone and have crazy pressure if you manage to get the ball rolling, but defense and finding that opening can be very tough. These round win animations are so funny. I love how Delilah's just an absolute horror of everything around her. She is not having a fun time. Take a hop over to arcade mode, and the bed is having a very strange moment and is going around trying to destroy itself, so Delilah doesn't have to be scared of it, but she tells it to stop. And then if you do the epic stage 9 super difficult version of the boss, who is Ramlethal for the first time, you get Ram talking to Delilah about the time that Bedman killed her dog to teach her about uniqueness, because the Guilty Gear fucking is awesome. And Delilah drops Bedman's real name. He's named fucking Romeo. Romeo fucking Newman, that's what the F stands for, I said so. What do you mean his parents didn't name him Bedman? They're playing it very vague on whether the bed is being possessed by Romeo. Or if it was simply programmed by him in his final moments to protect Delilah. It's probably some combination of the two. Bedman's soul, or at least part of his soul, is definitely in here, but whatever is in there is inherently limited by the constraints of its body. Not having a mouth to speak, well, yeah, maybe at least not vocal cords. Or the fact that Bedman's computing power isn't strong enough to do things like read other people's emotions or have daily memories as per the in-game description. There's an interview that basically confirms they were going for a sort of Ghost in the Machine vibe, specifically citing The Conjuring as an inspiration, and probably Five Nights at Freddy's. If you use Bedman's default costume and Faust gives you an afro, the hair will be the same pinkish purple that Xrd Bedman's hair was, while every other costume will just have the hair copy the color of Delilah's hair. He is definitely in there. A thing I've noticed in Guilty Gear is that when a character dies, if they are brought back, the only thing that's left of them emotionally is seemingly a strong love for one person in particular. Most obviously seen in Zato, whose entire arc has been that since he died in X, he was paraded around as a literal corpse in X2, and then when he was brought back to life for real in Xrd, he was missing all of his emotions except when he's around Milia. You can maybe even see this with Esco, who has been haunting Zappa because he was her ex-boyfriend. Zappa's a funny character, I hope he comes back. And once again, with Bedman, he is literally incapable of doing anything but protect Delilah. Whether this trend is a coincidence or a conscious thematic element, possibly to keep some of the weight of a character dying intact in a genre that is famous for just kinda ignoring death, is up for debate. But I think it's cool. That's the end of the video, I think. Go play Guilty Gear. I love it. Any of the big three that are still being played today. If you can't afford Strive or Xrd, XX goes on sale for like $3 every few months on Steam, and it can run on anything. It's pretty cool. I love this franchise. Also, I'm probably just gonna be a fighting game channel for a bit. Didn't really do it on purpose, but that's just kind of the trend that's happened, and I still have plans for more fighting game stuff. Oops. Good night.